Be me. 16 years old, living in Santa Monica in 2012. Best friend, 18, really into the occult, Golden Dawn mostly. In the winter he gets kicked out of his house. He starts living in squats and on couches in Venice. He met some weird people, a little older, who were staying in the Venice area. They were traveling around the country in campers and were staying at the beach. They were into the occult, Crowley, sex magic, and drugs. Friend takes me to their campers once in the beach parking lot. Very dark, creepy Manson vibe. They promise to teach him more about the occult and magic. He is invited to a winter solstice ritual they were performing in the Hollywood Hills late one night. Hey friend, come with me, I am not sure about these people. We go to a place in the Hollywood Hills, about half a mile from the Hollywood sign. We have to park in the neighborhood and walk through fences, then down into a ravine. We find a small trail leading to the bottom of the ravine to a more open area with cement blocks and a foundation, like a house or something used to be built there. As we get to the area, we see a fire through the trees and a large pole standing up. We stop and watch through some bushes and trees. People standing around the pole. A man was speaking some sort of incantation. Friend says they must be worshipping Baal, a Canaanite demon. This is a black magic ritual. We are thinking it is best to just take off. We are about to leave when we heard the sound of muffled crying. It sounds like someone was being beaten up while a hand was being held over their mouth. Okay, definitely time to go. We quietly slide back out and head back up the path to our car. About 3 weeks later, we saw in the news a bag with human hands and a human head was found in the area. Friend still staying in Venice. Avoids the parking lots they are parked in. Starts to become paranoid. They are following me. Finally, one day, he runs into one of them in an alley off Speedway right by the beach. He asked my friend where he had been. Friend says he has been busy. Occultist staring at him intensely, reading him, as if to see what he knows. Friend is scared as shit. The occultist sees, understands his fear and gives him the most evil laugh and smile my friend had ever seen. When he saw his teeth, they were red as if he had been drinking blood. A little while later the group left and moved on. Be a youth. Spend a lot of time fishing and digging around by the lake near my house. It wasn't on our property, but it was about a 15-minute walk and nobody else was ever around it. I used to think of it as my own private lake. Dad assumes it's owned by someone or some company who's holding on to it, hoping the value will increase over time. Tells me I can play there as long as I don't mess anything up or leave anything behind. He also tells me if you see anybody out there, you get your ass back home, alright? These are the terms by which I abided in order to have my own private lake. Invite my friend Josh to the take one day. We decided we'd try to make a raft. Never got one working, got soaked, laid in the sun in order to dry off. Shoes and socks soaked so we were barefoot. The sun is starting to get near setting by the time we're done playing. Want to go home, but we'd brought our fishing poles and hadn't fished yet. Plus the fish always bite more at dusk, according to Josh. He was wrong because we didn't manage to catch anything, and it was pitch black by the time I convinced him we should go. While we were packing up, a soft female voice comes out of the darkness. "Where ya going? Come play in the lake." Friendliest voice I'd ever heard. So much so that I wasn't even afraid. "Hey guys, come down here and see me." The voice was so sweet and welcoming, we both started edging forward to see where it was coming from. Fuck, Josh hollered, shocking me out of this daze I was in. He'd stepped on a fishing hook I must have left sitting there a long-ass time ago. The sudden clarity let me think enough to decide to grab Josh and drag him, hopping, away. Never went there again. Josh remembers. Everyone thinks it's a tall tale. Lost a good pair of shoes. Told my dad I'd lost them so he didn't make me go back and get them. It was probably just some chick making a joke and we flipped like autistic dorks. Sirens don't live in lakes. Okay guys. This happened to me last night and I haven't been able to sleep since I was hesitant to post about it on /x/ because I've been looking for some sort of explanation or something. Trying to see what it was I saw outside now that it's light out, but I cannot and it's scaring the shit out of me. I usually just frequent B, mu, and lit. So excuse me if this is something you guys have some explanation for already. Please just tell me there's a realistic explanation for this and that what happened is common. I'm fucking terrified. Get home from work. It's almost midnight. When the door opens, the home security thing does a high-pitched beep 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 chime. In my kitchen eating a late dinner before going to bed. Hear a door open and then the home thing go beep beep beep, but it definitely sounds like it came from outside. I'm sitting right by the back door, so I go check the front door. The front door has a screen door, a wood door that leads to a small entry room, then a second door inside that leads up the stairs into the house. These are loud-ass old doors. Did not hear screen door open. Did not hear main door close, did not hear second door open. The door is still double locked, no other doors are opened, nobody is standing outside. Okay, maybe it was the neighbor's door, maybe they have the same system. Hear it again, sounds like it's coming from outside the front of the house. Look out the window. Looks like a deer is crawling on the yard with its belly to the ground. Stands up on its back legs. Makes the door opening / beeping sound with its head raised up to the air. It is not a deer. It looks like a guy with deer legs, too dark to see what the fuck is going on. I'm home. What _the_fuck.gif. I'm home. Sounds like a dog barking I'm home while trying to vomit. Starts galloping away across the street. Beep beep beep. Starts shaking. It's raining out at the time. The thing opens its mouth and holds its head up. Thing starts digging furiously at the grass across the street with its front arms / legs / things. Puts head near the hole, like it's looking inside. Keeps walking down street. Beep beep beep. I'm home. Puts head back to drink rain. Digs at ground. Keeps doing this down the block before galloping away down Division away from the city. I do not live in a rural area. The deer population typically stays down towards Melrose Park off of Thatcher by the river. I live just outside of Chicago, literally a block west of the city limits. I have never seen anything like this or heard of anything like this. I am fucking shitting myself right now. I was going to post this story on /b/ but I avoid /b/ like the plague unless I'm bored. It's summertime and I'd just get memed on left and right, and this seems more paranormal than anything else. I've been googling for similar stories and trying to find some sort of typical scientific explanation for this sort of thing, but I can't even find any sort of similar story. My instinct is crazy homeless guy, but its legs bent back like a deer's. It was not built like a human being, and it was definitely not wearing clothes and looked like it had a full body of fur. I don't use drugs. I was not tired, I was 100% lucid and I'm fucking horrified. Please say there is a common explanation for shit like this. Year 2009. Camping in Lapland. Exact location unknown, about 15 kilometers east from Veriajärvi. Veriajärvi is nice place, go fishing there some days if you can. Coming from fishing. Nice catch wrapped in newspaper and put in bag which is at the end of a stick on shoulder like snuffkin, laughing face, walk in midsummer's cloudless weather. Sun maybe is too bright. Everything looks unreal with its bright shadows. Always frightens me a bit to be in forest at this time. Nights are whatever, but day and evening spooks me a bit, especially if I get lost. Arrive at small road. Look at the map and notice that I have deviated from the road. Locate the road that I think I'm supposed to be. Okay. Road have curves that the map doesn't have. Try to find myself from the map, but cannot find myself from any direction from Veriajärvi. What the fuck? Doesn't scare me. Every time I have been lost in Lapland I have find my way back. Maybe the road isn't just marked on the map. Maps of Lapland aren't the best. On road meet some reindeerman. Gun with him. He raises his rifle instantly when we meet. Stop. Think WTF. Usually local reindeermans are very friendly. What is in the bag? Fish LOLD. Show me. Show the fish. Reindeer man lowers his barrel. Do you have gun? What? No. Who would bring gun when camping? Maybe someone, but not normally on Finland. Come with me, you can't stay here. Reindeer man. Go with him few kilometers until arrive at road that takes to Veriajärvi. Go there and find a Slacky Jacobson elk vagina. Some sap my name. Who can fucking understand them? He takes you out of here. Start to think why. Why? Reindeerman looks me. Don't say anything. And finally, you are not the only soul that came from that road. If you see a man who has bag same way on his shoulder, pray that it is full bag. You don't want to know what is in there, don't ask. If he asks you something, or comes close to you, pray so fucking much. Close your eyes, it will be easier what is come. He also looks frigged, then what makes it more scarier. Okay. Start walking in spooks that you never had. Long road to closest village. Start jogging when spooks start to increase. Run at full speed toward Verio. The forest looks quiet and gives me anxiety. Trees seem to fall onto me and looks like the forest wants to suck me. Fucking shit. Realize that body can't take it more. Must slower. Look behind just to be sure. Far away at the road stands someone. Man is far away but see stick on shoulder, and the full bag. It looks at me. Start running, realize that body can take whatever. Finally I can't take it anymore. Sweating and jogging, I fear to slower my pace. Arrive at some field. Walk very tired to closest house in this village. Ring the doorbell. Someone arrives quickly like I was waited for. I say half of someone's name right and I need to find him. Lady who opened me the door knows who I am talking about. She looks from the window to the forest. You can see field and the forest road clearly from the window. Side of the road stands someone with a bag. Say something that I was lucky to get away. Woman looks me pathetically. You didn't get away, his bag was just full. Ask what she is talking about, I was clearly far away from him. Woman looks me and says, I was looking you whole time. It was behind you whole time. This was short version and we find the reindeer cunt or whatever and I drived fuck away from there and I haven't visited Lapland since. And sorry for my English.
I experienced a reality glitch or something. Still can't explain it. 16 years old. Home alone for a few days, BC parents taking a mini vacation. Start hearing noises throughout the house. At first it's just stuff I can shrug off, like something running around in the attic, or on the roof. Whatever, could be a possum or squirrel. But then start hearing the same thing inside the house. X1. I'm in the living room on my phone when I hear something scamper from the kitchen to the hallway. Sounds like a cat. That area is perfectly within my field of view, but even though I can hear the movement and can track where it is, I don't see shit. X2. I'm at the kitchen, then hear footsteps under the table. Sounds like a person's footsteps. I check, but again I see nothing. By this point I'm getting kinda fed up with it. One night I'm woken up by the closet door opening. Hear footsteps move across the room. Then I see my bedroom door open and close. Scares the shit out of me deaths. But also I'm fucking annoyed by all the activity. I decide, fuck this ghost, or whatever it is, and decide to confront it. I get up and open my bedroom door, and that's when I see something that's kinda hard to describe. Firstly, my bedroom door opens out onto a long hallway. From where I'm standing I can see the bedroom door opposite mine, then the wall of the hallway lined with family photos, and finally the end of the hall leading into the living room. Now, on the wall where the family photos are hanging I see a hole in the wall that's not supposed to be there. It's large, so I notice it right away even in the dark, and I'm wondering who the fuck punched a hole in my wall. But the thing is it's a perfect square, like somebody measured it out and cut out a slice of the wall. Then I hear footsteps at the end of the hall and look over expecting to see an animal or something. Instead I watch as this little sphere rolls from one side of the doorway to the other. It looks like a computer rendering of a ball, like something out of a 90s computer game, pick related, only the one I saw was black. This was all in the dark, by the way, but I can see both the hole and the sphere clearly, like they're kinda faintly glowing. As the ball disappears past the door frame, I hear my closet door open and shut behind me. I glance back, then look back out into the hallway, and the square hole in the wall is gone. Walk back to bed and lie there for a while. Eventually drift off to sleep thinking I'm going crazy. Luckily I wasn't, I don't think. Nothing like that ever happened again. I am a 22-year-old in England. I go to college and consider myself fairly intelligent. I am, or was, a skeptic and don't touch drugs or alcohol. I have never had any mental illness or been depressed. I have always enjoyed scary films and horror fiction, but only as entertainment. I never really believed the supernatural stuff that I consumed, but loved the thrill. Now I don't watch scary films or read scary books. And I sleep with a nightlight. My life literally changed 2 weeks ago when I was walking home from my nan's. I am her only support through the pandemic and take her essentials like food and do her cooking. My mum is disabled and so I do all the caring, which I don't actually mind. My nan is 87 and pretty funny for an old lady. I made her some tomato soup and toast, filled her hot water bottle and made sure all the windows and doors were locked before I was going to leave. I also fed Marston, her ragdoll cat. He gave my hand a nibble as I stroked him and then wished my nan good night and set off on the 20-minute walk home. It was 8 p.m., so not really late, but it was dark and slightly foggy. The road I walk home is near a large factory, Heinz, and cuts through an industrial estate. The industrial estate, which has lots of lorries and trucks parked up while the drivers get some sleep, is quite creepy at night as it is a long, straight road with nobody about. Some of the factories are lit up, but it is still dark and secluded. I don't listen to music when I walk as I like to hear if anybody is approaching. I am pretty tall but thin, so I wear lots of layers and a big hood in winter to look more intimidating. Stupid, I know. Once you get through the industrial estate, you come to a small bridge that goes over a train line, cross that and you come to a small street with houses on both sides. I like reaching this part of the journey because I feel safe there. It's only a 5-minute walk through the street though before you get to a small gate that leads across a farmer's field towards the canal. I was pretty hungry and was munching on some crisps that my nan always give me, with a chocolate bar, for my walk home. I finished the crisps and squished the empty packet into my jacket pocket. I unlatched the small gate and continued on through the farmer's field. You can hear the stream that runs alongside the canal but not much else. Everything seemed very quiet because I had just been listening to myself crunch crisps for the past few minutes. It takes around 5 minutes to get across the field, which has a path, and I usually jog that part as it is creepy. I didn't jog the night it happened. I walked because the ground was very muddy and I didn't want to splash dirt on my pants. I wish I had jogged. My life might be very different if I had. I have a smartphone but don't really look at it a lot, especially when I'm walking at night. If I look at my bright phone screen, then I lose my night vision and find it hard to see my surroundings. Well, I got a message just as I was halfway down the path and I looked at my screen. It was a message from my cousin asking if I would be online later for a few games of football. I replied that I wouldn't put my phone away. I had only glanced at my phone for a few seconds, but it was enough to destroy my night vision and make me feel blind. That's when I heard a gurgle and a slop of something wet land near my left shoe. I panicked when I heard the sound jump to one side, landing in a huge muddy puddle. I scrunched my toes in my shoe to try and keep it from being sucked off my foot and into the mud. I tried to tell myself to relax and not make things worse by overreacting. I couldn't hear any more noises or movement around me, and so I reached into my pocket to get my phone out for some extra light. I was pretty confident that if I didn't panic, I'd be able to free my shoe and get on my way. I could feel a different atmosphere around me. That's the best way to explain it, the air just felt different. Not electrical but full of energy. It's really hard to explain this in words, so I'm sorry. I knew that I was only 5 or 10 minutes away from my street and would soon be in my comfy chair beating my cousin at football. I couldn't imagine how wrong I was. There are no streetlights down the patch obviously, and it's just trees on both sides. I pressed the button on my phone and the screen flashed bright again. Her face was next to my right hip. Her eyes were milky white and her bloated face was bluey green in the light. Half of her scalp was missing and I automatically gagged at the smell when she spoke. "Ollie's come looking for me," she said. Her voice sounded wet. I ran, leaving my shoe in the mud. I ran until my lungs burned. I didn't play football with my cousin that night. I didn't sleep either. The next day my mum came into my room to check on me because I am usually the first person up. She gave me a cup of tea and noticed my hand shaking. I must have dozed off at some point and it was now early afternoon. "Oh, you must have heard about that young lad. It's horrible, isn't it? Did you know him?" she asked. "Who? What boy?" I asked. I was confused and felt literally insane from last night's incident. His name was Ollie. They found him in the woods near Hines this morning. He'd hung himself.
You should include a green text to start things off, I think. I have one. Not too spooky, but it's something. Working the night shift at an office. 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. Pretty easy money. Only two things really suck about working there. 1. They ride your ass about filling your daily quota. 2. The parking lot situation is fucking sketch. It's across the street, in an isolated area situated in the warehouse district. Nobody around but crackheads and drug dealers, plus the odd cop now and then. So now imagine that it's 3 in the morning. You're punching out at work and you have to cross the street towards a dark, run-down parking garage. You've been filing papers all night so you're not at your mental peak. It's an armed robbery waiting to happen. Obviously this situation stresses most of us out. It's not rare to hear coworkers coming into work saying shit like, "I swear someone was following me through the parking garage." Mainly you write it off as fear-induced paranoia. But then one night you're walking to your car. It's dark and isolated. You're fucked out here if anybody pulls a gun on you. If you go missing, nobody would notice until you fail to show up to work. With all this in the back of your head, you hurry to your car, feet tapping the cement like you're knocking on a crackhead's door. "Hey, come on out. Unarmed guy here with a wallet full of money." You have to head up the stairs because the first floor is off limits, which makes the trip back and forth worse. As you rush up the steps, you look up and see someone walk past the entrance into the second level. There's no mistaking it. It was a large man, heavy built. Probably dressed all in black. It was hard to see in the darkness of the garage. Now you're thinking, okay, this could be bad. You cautiously peek around the door and nobody's there. Walk through and make a mad dash to your car, but you hear footsteps running behind you. Oh fuck, he's got me. He's clearly moving much faster than you, and you speed up. Fumbling for your keys, but you drops them. Oh fuck, I'm dead. As you stop to bend over and pick up your keys, the footsteps are upon you. You fall over, twisting around and lifting an arm up in self-defense. But as you do, the footsteps rush past you. You can hear them, and you could even pinpoint their source if you had to. But there's nobody there. The garage is empty. The footsteps recede into the distance, seeming to round one of the corners, and then it's quiet. You're completely alone. Just sitting on your keys with a bruised ass. Then you hear someone coming up the steps. You panic for a moment. But it's just one of your coworkers. They're walking quickly, looking behind them. Then they see you and freeze. They recognize you and rush over. They ask if you're okay and you say yeah, but they can tell something's wrong. You heard the footsteps, didn't you? It happened to me too. Realize all those fuckers talking about being followed weren't lying. Hey everyone, took a while to write this story down, but I lost the notebook where I had all these logged for a bit. This is another story about when I used to work for the call center. I must preface this now that, to me, this one is the most unbelievable one in the sense that I'm shocked no one has spoken about this particular company on this site before. Be me working the night shift. Working from about 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Boss trusted me enough to leave for the night. This results in me being the only one in the building. It's cool cause it's a Friday going into Saturday. No one ever calls during those hours. Sitting there doing the professional equivalent of sitting around with my hand on my dick. Notice how subtly eerie the whole building is. Prime spooky material. Old carpets, scratched up walls, buzzing light fixtures, and even then 75% of the lights in the building were turned off. Suddenly get that feeling like I probably shouldn't be there. Think to myself, it's already 3 a.m. and you're getting paid double under the table, so who cares? Begin playing my PSP and boot up some GTA. Having fun being a degenerate in the game when suddenly I hear a scratch. I jumped from my chair the millisecond I heard it. I settled down and chalk it up to nerves since I was quite literally the only one in the building. At least, I thought I was. Didn't help the place was freezing cold at the time, so I already had shivers all over. Tried my best to ignore it and go back to work. Didn't seem like whatever made that sound was coming back. I simply just go back to work, laughing it off as just shaky nerves. Fast forward to about 4 a.m. I start hearing a click. I recognize the sound. It's the sound of a lighter. What the fuck, JPG? Seeing it's time for lunch, I decide to go investigate. Walking around the office trying to find any clue as to where the noise came from. Can't seem to find a trail. Like whatever heard me knew I heard it and panicked. Now officially spooked, I begin to look around the restrooms. Empty. The cafeteria. Empty. Training rooms. Empty. Healthcare department. Empty. The entire building had an occupancy of 1. I begin texting my friend. He says it's probably the wind and the nerves are getting to me being all alone in a big empty building. I know what I heard and it wasn't the fucking wind. Decide to go get a cup of coffee from the cafeteria and say fuck it. Sitting there watching the clock roll down as my lunch hour passes. As I sit there drinking the shitty coffee from the vending machine, I see it. On the table close to mine. A cigarette. A semi-lit cigarette. I stare at the thing for what seems like an eternity. Almost like I was frozen. I jump off my chair and go to the phone. We had a specific phone that is only to be used if we needed to call a manager, or as we call them, team leader, for an emergency. I dial up the number. Manager picks up the phone from some club. Least the loud music led me to believe it was a club. Anon? What's up, dude? What's going on? I think there's someone here, dude. Like someone who isn't supposed to be. Anon just calls the cops? My lapse in judgment finally got to my head. Yes, sorry, I'll do that right now. It's just I kept hearing this random scratching and this cig I found. Sig? Anon, whatever you do, stay right there and don't fucking move. Me and some other TLS are gonna be right over. But what about the cops? Don't call them, we'll handle it. Kind of taken aback by what I just got told, I just tell him okay and wait. All the while the night seems to stand still. All of a sudden I feel like someone is watching me. That very specific feeling when you can just tell that a pair of eyes are on you. I turn around. Nothing. Being the big brain 200 IQ Anon I commence to say. Hello? Is someone there? I hear another quick lighter click. I see one of the panels of the ceiling move. Oh, that's what's going on. PNG. I think to myself to take the initiative and get a ladder. Once again 200 IQ here. I got up in the ceiling and start looking around with my cruddy phone flashlight. Find piles of used cigs, food wrappers, and even some feces, all over the place. It smells like something fucking died. Around that time my cell phone rings. It's my boss. Hello? Anon. Are you good? Where are you? I tell him that I'm fine and that for now the noises have simmered down. Didn't want to tell him that I was investigating because I didn't want to get reprimanded on my first night all alone. As soon as we hang up I continue my trek and keep looking through the gunk and leftover papers, wondering what the fuck I just stumbled into. I see something at the corner of the room. A lone filing cabinet. Wide open. Bunch of files there, and I decide to read some shit like company finances from like 2005 and shit. Nothing special except one drawer. Reports. Curiosity got the better of me. I check the files and it's full of reports from over the years. You name it, it's there. Drugs. Sexual abuse. Verbal abuse. All sorts of shady underhanded shit that's gotten reported that you swear. And the dates all go up to the time when I worked 2018. 2019. See the reports I made for David, if any of you remember that story. This is essentially a dumping ground for all the shit that's been reported and locked up so it doesn't get leaked out to the public. This is some Illuminati tier shit. From then, I felt that sense of someone looking at me. I turn around and there he was. This chubby scruffy man. Had to be in his 40s. He starts yelling. "What the fuck are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Get out." For half a second I almost asked him the same, but I was too scared and began to bolt out of there. I can hear his chasing me and I decide to go full retard and jump through the hole where the ceiling piece I removed earlier was. I land right on my ass and I'm in some bad pain. I see the guy above me and he just stares. I bolt out of the building and run into my boss. Dude sees I'm shaken up and he asks if I'm okay. I tell him that I went up to check to see what the noise was and this big chubby dude was there. He stops me as soon as I say chubby dude and he walks in with 5 other TLS. Doesn't take more than a few minutes for him to come out dragging this dude from the collar. And I don't mean a normal drag out. I mean it looks like they gave him a good boot or two to the head before he came out. Sitting there watching this guy whimper on the ground whilst my boss tells his other TL friends to take him to the other room. My eyes at this point are just wide fucking open. Looks like I just saw a murder. Boss comes to me and asks if I'm okay. I tell him yet and ask who that guy is. He gives me an answer that comes off as 100% bullshit. Tells me it's some homeless guy who keeps getting into the building during the late hours. Every now and then they have to get the cops on him. Today they wanted to catch him themselves to make sure nothing happened. All the while my bullshit alarm is going off. Before I can even say anything my boss stops me. "So Anon. Yeah? Any reason you smell like cigs even though you don't smoke?" My blood ran cold. For that matter, why exactly do you have a few McDonald's wrappers on you if you don't eat that? Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Boss begins to tell me some shit about how the company likes to keep things to itself. How they don't like certain things getting out due to it being too much of a headache. Tells me that sometimes things don't go the way it's supposed to and that sometimes drastic measures are kind of needed. Looks me right in the eye and then asks, "You didn't see anything up there, right?" "No, sir." "You sure?" He then proceeds to tell me that I'm off for the rest of the week with paid time off. Just to let me relax a bit. Tells me to go home and we'll talk when I come back. Following week I come to work and get called by him immediately. "Mr. Anon, come to my office please." Boss tells me that I'm going to be sent to a new position to full-time trainer. Tells me that I'm also going to be transferred to a different site in the city. There were technically 2 call centers sites, Indiana my town. Says I'm going to get double pay, extra time off, basically all the perks of being a TL without all the hassle. All this sounds shocking as hell to me. Finally get the courage to ask why I'm getting this so suddenly. Oh, Mr. Anon, you're just a good worker and the higher-ups decided instead of making sure you don't say anything about last night we reward you for your bravery and quick thinking. I asked about the chubby guy I found. He simply said not to worry and that we won't see him ever again. I didn't stay at that job much longer. Security paid way more than the double pay I was already getting and it came without the added baggage of whatever the fuck they were doing at this place. To tie up a single loose end you may have been thinking about. The only reason I'm able to tell this story in the detail I have without worrying about ramifications is due to the fact that none of those who worked there when I did no longer work there. My boss died in a car accident in December. Many of the TLS either got fired or left entirely. And besides those 4 I was the only one left from that night who still knows anything from that night even happened. Don't know if those other TLS even remember that night either, so this adds another layer of shit to that. As for what happened to the chubby guy, the official story that went around the office was that I was some brave man who caught a homeless robber in the act and was able to apprehend him. When in reality I'm pretty sure if that guy wanted me dead I would have been dead 100%. I'm more than 100% that chubby guy ended up dead somewhere. Rumor in the office was that no footage from that night was ever found due to electronic malfunction. Everything just lined up like some giant conspiracy. But fearing more for my financial state than my actual life, I kept my mouth shut. Have heard rumors of some who tried speaking out on stuff getting sued and losing terribly. I don't know what really happened to that guy, nor do I care to really find out. All I know is that night I found there were many in life much scarier than ghosts or demons.
No words can express the happiness you give me.
As soon as we hang up I continue my trek and keep looking through the gunk and leftover papers wondering what the fuck I just stumbled into. I see something at the corner of the room. A lone filing cabinet. Wide open. Bunch of files there and I decide to read some shit like company finances from like 2005 and shit. Nothing special except one drawer. Reports. Curiosity got the better of me. I check the files and it's full of reports from over the years. You name it, it's there. Drugs. Sexual abuse. Verbal abuse. All sorts of shady underhanded shit that's gotten reported that you swear. And the dates all go up to the time when I worked 2018. 2019. See the reports I made for David, if any of you remember that story. This is essentially a dumping ground for all the shit that's been reported and locked up so it doesn't get leaked out to the public. This is some Illuminati tier shit. From then, I felt that sense of someone looking at me. I turn around and there he was. This chubby scruffy man. Had to be in his 40s. He starts yelling. What the fuck are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Get out. For half a second I almost asked him the same, but I was too scared and began to bolt out of there. I can hear his chasing me and I decide to go full retard and jump through the hole where the ceiling piece I removed earlier was. This is a copy pasta of an old story on 4chan. I moved into my house 5 years ago. The last 2 years there have been strange things happening. It started in October 2004. I noticed strange footsteps but soon shrugged them off, thinking there was probably an explanation for them. My 16-year-old son, Michael, slept in the only bedroom that was downstairs, while myself and his little sis have our own bedrooms upstairs. I would wake up in the morn with Michael sleeping on my bedroom floor. He at first heard strange noises, then he seen shadows moving across the room. He came running from his room one day because his plug flew from the wall. Yet again I put it down to electrical faults. He's felt something brushing him too. I have been with my partner Mike for a year now, and he moved in with me in April. At first Mike couldn't sleep with the noise of someone moving up and down stairs. All watts checking but nothing there. He would always say, "Did you hear that?" I was just used to hearing them. 4 months ago, Mike was sitting at the computer which is beside Michael's bedroom door, and he jumped up with pain. He lifted his shirt and there was deep scratch on his stomach. There was no sharp instruments about, and there was no possible explanation for this. The computer always acts up for him but no one else in the family. I am also catching the shadows out of the corner of my eye and put it down to my imagination. We were lying in our bed 2 weeks ago watching telly. I lie nearest the doorway and I seen a flowing shadow going into my daughter's bedroom. Mike jumped up and shouted he saw it too. For once I was completely freaked out. I had to sleep on other side of bed. Everything was forgotten, and then 2 days ago Mike was sitting on the computer chair again holding a piece of drawing paper in his lap. The paper hit him in the eye and took out a chunk from his cornea. He is in complete agony and has been attending hospital. He cannot explain how the paper hit his eye from the angle he was holding it on his lap, but knows even if he tried to do it himself it would be impossible. At first I thought it was just a mischievous ghost of some kind, but now I am starting to get very worried with this thing assaulting my partner. It is no longer mischievous but evil. I wonder if it is the shadow that has always been with me that I have always seen from the corner of my eye since, or is it something that was already in the house? 2 weeks ago my son come in screaming from the bathroom saying he'd seen a face all bloody, and wrapped in a dirty sheet. We got into the car but it would not start. And then a man door hook hand car door in the hook door car. In 1994 I was 7 years old. I had no fear. I used to walk in the woods alone or with friends. One day, during the day I was in the woods and I was mad. During the time there was the Satanism crazy happening and it was all over TV. I started to scream, "Devil! Satan! Come talk to me! I want to sell my soul." A few seconds later something showed in front of me. I cannot recall how it looked like because it was too long ago. The thing asked me what I wanted and said that I was a very interesting child. My family is from long lineage of Christians from mom's side, and my father's side is from spiritists that believed in magic, although I never had much to do with it at all. My mother told me that my grandfather took me once into their temple and I was offered somehow, but that's all I know. I talked to the thing that appeared in front of me. I wasn't really scared and was more curious than anything. I asked it if I could have powers. It said, "Yes, what powers do you want?" I said I want so everything I say can become true. It said that my wish was granted and did not ask for anything in return. The first thing I said was I know everything, and in that moment I had a glimpse of extensive knowledge. it started to hurt my brain, so I said to it to stop, and so it did. I said that I was God and nothing happened. I remember myself going back home, flying to my room that afternoon. I cannot recall much more of what happened during that day. Fast forward to when I was 13 years old. The kids in my street were playing something similar to the Ouija board, and with my sister. I was standing there watching. When the thing literally moved by itself, everyone was scared except for me. I started laughing and said I did that. It happened because I'm here. I don't know why I said that. That moment I noticed I had several personalities inside of me that would take control of my mouth and say things that I didn't mean or didn't understand. The time stopped and nobody could move, and I declared myself the Antichrist. As soon as this happened, people in my street, a crowded neighborhood in the 90s, came running up to me and started worshipping me. I had sex with several of the women present. And then something else happened. A bunch of UFOs showed up to greet me. A literal gray alien came out of a ship that was flying above me. I looked at it and ripped his ears off. I ate his ears, which came with half of his face and arms. They seemed pretty weak. When this happened, more UFOs showed up and I got pissed. I jumped like fucking Superman and started to destroy their ships as they started to fall on top my city and cause huge explosions. Many more things happened like this in my life. The time would stop, I would have sex with several women in a satanic fashion. Later nobody would remember anything but myself. When I finally understood this, I put a stop to it. Things got less crazy and I started to control myself. I started to see the future and say things I want to happen, how I wanted the world to be and how I wanted it to end. To this day everything I said is still happening and I still have my powers. There are some very specific rules for my powers to work. I have to be either very excited or very angry. I need to be in public or with people, and I have to actually say some words. A few of the powers I have that I can remember. I and the people around me would cry if they lied. I could make people do anything I said. I can make things appear. I can do almost any superhuman thing in the books. At this point I came up with a plan to hide my existence from the public, and I'm still hidden to this day, waiting for the end of my plan to come into fruition. I have a few friends who know everything about this and have confirmed it to me several times. Who the hell am I? This is the only things I cannot answer.